and welcome to Das German Kritic. But hey, außer mir macht's ja keiner. And today we're down to the last of the 4 big classic German silent films I decided to start the show with. The Nibelungen saga is the big classic German epic, kind of what Beowulf is to the UK and what the Vinland saga is to Iceland and other parts of Scandinavia. The epic is divided into 2 parts. Part 1 deals with Siegfried's shenanigans, while the second focuses on Siegfried's wife, Kriemhild, seeking revenge on Hagen of Tronje for murdering her husband. It's a great epic of betrayal, murder, revenge, counter-betrayal, murder, counter-revenge, counter-betrayal. You get the picture. So let's go slay some dragons, kill our fellow men, and take a look at Fritz Lang's The Nibelungen. We begin this blood-soaked epic with Siegfried, played by Paul Richter, crafting the legendary sword Balmung out of iron he got from a fallen meteorite in the workshop of Mime, the blacksmith, played by Georg John, who we'll be seeing again twice in both reviews. Siegfried then meets up with a bunch of hobos without a shotgun, and they tell him of Kriemhild of Worms, played by Margarete Schön, and how no suitor has ever successfully been able to claim her hand in marriage.
Camelot! Camelot! It's only a model.
Siegfried thus decides that he is worthy for some reason, but the hobos just laugh at him. And how does he plan to do this? Does he engage in any sort of logical discussion on the matter? Nah, he just pulls his sword on them. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen, strong, courageous, fearless, and if you dare to disagree with him, your ass is grass. Of course, this attack on his buddies doesn't sit well with Mime, which is why, instead of leading Siegfried straight to Worms, he instead leads him right to one of the highlights of the movie, the terrifying dragon Fafnir. Okay, before we go on, I do want to talk about the whole design of this thing, seeing as, for the 1920s, a design of that scale and size was indeed something entirely new. The neck was made out of iron rings that got bigger and bigger the closer the neck came to the body. The entire structure was covered in several layers of linen soaked in animal glue with an iron construction running through the middle. In order to get this thing even going, 7 people located under the animatronics were needed to move the head, neck, and the legs. Siegfried finally manages to kill the evil animatronics, and we witness one of the many iconic elements in this epic. Siegfried bathing in the dragon's blood that makes his skin impenetrable to any attack. Except for the back of the right shoulder, which gets covered by a leaf falling down from a nearby lime tree. Well, that seems rather unfortunate. Can't see how this would go wrong in any way. But before Siegfried gets to Worms, he has better things to do with his days, like attacking the dwarf Alberic, also played by Georg John, and demanding his invisibility cloak at sword point. Okay, let me be fair here. Alberic did jump Siegfried first, and Siegfried was merely defending himself. But that doesn't excuse him murdering Elbrick later on when they finally find the Nibelungen treasure. We then cut to the court of Worms, where we meet grim Hagen of Tronje, played by Hans Adalbert von Schlettow, as well as King Gunther, played by Theodor Loos, whom some of you might remember playing Josaphat in Metropolis. Siegfried rides in with his entourage and asks for fair Kriemhild's hand. And of course, Siegfried wouldn't be Siegfried if he wasn't a complete asshole about it. Dude, I mean, I know you're rich and powerful and all that, but come on, tone it down a little. But since Gunther is cut from the same cloth as Ascalius from Romeo and Juliet, in that he can never actually enforce anything, he agrees to let Siegfried stay in Worms, much to Hagen's dismay. The film then introduces us to Brunhild, Queen of Iceland, played by Hannah Ralph, who I swear looks like Noomi Rapaz's Lisbeth Salander from Stieg Larsson's Millennium Trilogy. She's being informed by her seer that foreign dragon ships have landed on her coast. And who are these foreigners? Well, none other than Siegfried and King Gunther, who has come to Iceland to win Brunhild's hand in marriage. And how does he intend to do this? Does he spend time with her, get to know her, the stuff that any normal person would do? Actually, no. You see, in order to win fair Brunhild's heart, you have to enter into an array of contests to prove your worth. But since Gunther isn't the strongest or fastest person, Siegfried offers his help in this matter by assisting Gunther while wearing his invisibility cloak. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen, when he's not off assaulting or killing people, he rigs a legitimate contest to his, or I guess in this case, his leader's liking. So everything goes off without a hitch, and we get a wonderful double wedding, as well as Siegfried and Gunther pledging an oath of allegiance to one another. Gunther then tries to consummate the marriage, but this turns out to be a rather difficult task for him. So, what's the solution? Siegfried, of course, who gets a rather disturbing suggestion by Hagen. Okay. There is no way I can make a rape scene look or sound funny. But I will ask again about how much the design of Brunhild looks like the design of Lisbeth Salander in the Millennium Trilogy. I ask because, oddly enough, Lisbeth's character also gets raped by her legal guardian and also takes revenge on him, like Kriemhild does on Hagen, by tattooing "I am a perverted rapist and sadist pig" on the person's stomach. Nah, it's probably just a coincidence. We then see more of how much of a dick Siegfried is when he gives away part of the Nibelungen treasure to the people of Worms. And note that he isn't doing this to actually help people in need, but again, just to parade his own ego around. So let's see. Our hero is a murderer, a thief, a cheat, a rapist, and he doesn't care about anyone else other than himself. Can't see how that kind of attitude would backfire in any way, shape, or form. What I can ask, however, is a legitimate question that's been on my mind. We all know what an anti-hero is. A figure or character who still has some redeeming qualities that make him or her likable, or a character that technically isn't doing the right thing objectively, but rather acting from his or her subjective moral standpoint. But is the opposite true as well? Is there such a thing as an anti-villain? You know, a character that's built up to be the hero, but doesn't come off as that because all of his or hers actions are just so morally reprehensible that you can't wrap your mind around it. If so, then Siegfried fulfills this role admirably. Every action he does comes off less as heroic and more as those of an utterly deplorable, self-centered, murderous asshole. Kriemhild and Brunhild then have somewhat of a falling out on the steps in front of the cathedral. Brunhild chastises Kriemhild for merely being a vassal's wife, and thus second to enter the cathedral. And, in a fit of rage, Kriemhild just can't keep her mouth shut. So after this sudden outburst of truth, all bets are off, and Brunhild adamantly seeks revenge on Siegfried. Gunther objects because, you know, that whole old oath of his. But Hagen says he knows a way this could work, and seeks out Kriemhild for advice. He tells her that he fears for Siegfried's life on an upcoming hunt after what happened in front of the cathedral, and begs Kriemhild to sew a small cross on the only woundable spot on Siegfried's body. Okay, let's forget the whole rape issue for a while. Let's forget the whole rigging a contest to your leader's likings and all that for a while. But the biggest question I guess we have to ask ourselves here is, how the hell does Hagen know of this? Why does anyone know this? I mean, if you'd think that something like this would be what is essentially in their world a huge major risk to national security. Now granted, some of the most influential and best made movies of all time have major whopping plot holes. For example, in the opening of Citizen Kane, no one is there to hear Kane's last words, or word, except for the audience. The Matrix also features a major plot hole that widens more and more the more you think about it. The Matrix itself. I mean, why not have the machines lobotomize us or something? Why have the Matrix at all? And no, this isn't a matter of, oh, maybe it's different in a different version, which I'll get to in part 2. No, this is one of the most important scenes in the entire epic, and it is in every version of this tale. So again, I have to ask, why does anyone know of this? Well, anyway, seeing how we've clearly established that Kriemhild isn't the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to mental capabilities, she does as Hagen suggests without question or hesitation. The hunting party commences, and everyone seems to be in cheerful spirits, save for Gunther, who knows what is about to happen. And you gotta give credit for Lowe's performance here. Just looking at the guy, you can tell that something is really bothering him, and that something is really wrong here. But Hagen has no time to worry about the well-being of his king, and suggests that Siegfried and he take a sip from the nearby spring, and I'm just gonna let this scene play out on its own. After Siegfried's death, his body is laid out in the castle in Worms, where Kriemhild mourns the death of her husband, together with her court. However, as Hagen draws nearer to the body, Siegfried's corpse begins to bleed at the exact same point the spear entered. Kriemhild therefore knows that Hagen is the culprit and asks her brother and his kinsmen to side with her rather than with Hagen. Yet, to her discomfort, not one of them choose her side. You know, because of that whole old oath of theirs. Okay, before we wrap this entire review up, I feel that I do have to talk about the whole phrase Nibelungenlied, you know, the one that last scene deals with. Literally translated, it means Nibelungen's trust, and yes, like many other aspects of German history, has been misused by the Nazis as well. In their twisted interpretation, Nibelungenlied, of course, means sticking with the Führer till the very end, and it was notably used during the last days of World War II and the Battle for Berlin. However, in its actual historical context, the phrase means something entirely different. In reality, though, the phrase pertains to the process of becoming a knight. You see, becoming a knight is no cheap venture. You need a shield, armor, a sword, and a horse. All of which, of course, cost a significant amount of coin or natural resources, something that the average low nobleman just didn't have. Thus, in order to even become a knight, you needed a very, very, very rich sponsor, your future liege. And if you wanted to remain in his favor, it was, of course, imperative that you were dependent on him for better or for worse. Oh, and Brunhild kills herself at some point too. The film treats this as a footnote the way I'm treating it right now, so you didn't really miss anything in this respect. So, this was the first part of Fritz Lang's Nibelungen, and in the second part, we're going to take a look at how Kriemhild plots her revenge on Hagen, and turns into Lucy from Elvenlied in the process. This was Das German Kritic, weil hey, außer mir macht's ja keiner.